Well, April is Arab Heritage Month, and it is a time to honor the rich heritage and culture, and it is also an opportunity to raise awareness for women's rights outside of the U.S.
That's right, and Suzy Kanoo is the author of Hear Us Speak, Letters from Arab Women. She joins us now to talk about the issue. Good morning, Suzy. Thank you for being here.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
Yes. Well, Suzy, you interviewed a dozen women, and many talk about the unfair laws toward women in the Arab world. Can you tell us a little bit about those interviews?
Sure. I actually interviewed many more than a dozen, but only a dozen actually were I put in the book. I interviewed amazing, beautiful women. It's really a collection of beautiful, powerful interviews I've had. And each chapter has a topic that I'd like to have discussed about issues that we actually face and that are not actually discussed often, which is very odd for a person who's lived outside and who's come back. But one of the issues that I can touch upon is the issues of citizenship. A mother cannot give citizenship to her children when she gives birth. Citizenship can only be given by the father in most of the Arab world. And in one of my chapters, I've interviewed a woman where she married a man from a neighboring country. She had 2 children. He decided to divorce her and leave her before asking for citizenship for his children from his own country. So now the mother has 2 children with no citizenship papers, no identities for her son. They can't go to school, they can't have health care, they obviously can't work. So these are the issues that I'd like to talk about.
And you know, when you think about the progress that we have made here in the U.S. when it comes to women's rights, you still are troubled that something like this is even taking place across the world here. Suzy, the legal systems leave women vulnerable to losing all of their civil rights if divorced. Can you talk more about how they're treated unfairly?
Well, with divorce, there's a set system. We follow the Sharia law, which is an Islamic law. So there are guidelines, and they're very hard to maneuver. She can ask for a divorce. It's not very easy, but she can. It depends on the country she's in. But she does. A lot of women decide not to because there's shame involved for their family. It's still a sort of a tribal, patriarchal society. Even though it's a very modern society, it's a beautiful society. We have one of the most beautiful infrastructure in the world, the highest towers in the world. We actually embrace technological advances by far faster than we embrace social reform, I think. I mean, we have the best airports, the infrastructure is amazing if you come and you see how people live in this part of the world. But yes, there are issues with laws that I think we need to tackle. I think we need to discuss. I've raised many issues in the book with whether it's abuse, whether it's sisters being asked to leave the conglomerate of a family business because they don't carry the same pedigree as the son would. Many issues have been raised, and all I'm doing is raising them, and let's talk about them. Let's discuss them, because not many people actually have. Everyone feels like they shouldn't, feels shame if they discuss these issues. But on the other hand, I also have to admit that because this is Arabic Heritage Month, I have to give credit to the changes that are actually happening. Even in my neighboring country, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, the changes have been tremendous. I didn't think that I would see the changes that are happening so quickly right now. So there is a positive, there is light at the end of the tunnel. Things are changing, things are looking better, but not fast enough for me. I think we still have to keep pushing, and we have to keep discussing these issues faster and have no shame in bringing these topics up.
And Suzy, you touched on abuse. Many of the women you interviewed shared stories of abuse that they've actually endured. Can you talk about that and what you think can be done to change that?
Well, to be honest, abuse happens all around the world. It's not just in the Arab world. Abuse happens in the Western world, all around the world. The difference is in the Western world, when abuse does happen, the laws are stricter. You have much stricter laws. The police get involved, and it's much stricter. Over here, our laws are not enforced very well when it comes to abuse. There are laws, it is not accepted, but the laws, they don't enforce them effectively, if I can say that. We need more shelters. We need more women judges. Around less than 10% of judges are women. We obviously, some of the stories I touch upon are, we need more women in board positions. We need more women as CEOs. We need women to feel like they can be what they want to be. We need this complete mind shift where women themselves believe that they can be what they want to be. And then they can actually fight for these rights if they actually have this mind shift happening from within.
Well, Susan, a final question for you. We actually saw some of the Saudi women there driving. They just got the right not too long ago to do that. Do you see more advancements? You talked about the needs. Do you see more advancements with women's rights in the future?
I really do. Honestly, to be honest, I really do, especially with the changes that are happening in the Kingdom of Saudi. Saudi women are driving right now. Saudi women are running to take jobs right now. Saudi women are actually extremely happy right now. So there are changes coming, and I'm very happy with these changes. They need to come faster, and we need to fight for them. We can't just sit in a chair and expect things to happen. We need to discuss it, and we need to talk about it, and we need to fight for it. But change is coming, to be honest, and I'm very proud of it, and I'm happy. It is coming, and we just need to make it faster.
And Suzy, there's a saying that be the change that you want to see. I think you are doing exactly that, and we are grateful for all the work that you're doing, not just here, but across the world. So thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Thanks for sharing these stories.
Thank you for inviting me.
Of course.
Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
All right.
Bye-bye.